Welcome, everyone, to our fourth Northwest Business Network meeting of 2022. I'm very excited this morning to welcome all of you and our special guest speaker, Ebeling. My name is Michelle Sherritt, and I am one of the owners and founders of the Northwest Business Network and our four other powerful networking groups: the Oak Brook, Naperville, North Shore, and Windy City Business Networks. Today's talk, we ask that you keep yourself muted if you're here on Zoom, unless you have a question. And for everyone who's on Facebook Live, thank you for joining us. Please simply type your questions in the comment section, and we'll go ahead and address those at the Q&A time. Today's speaker is Hank. Hank will teach us how to find, hire, and onboard quality talent to build a top-notch customer service team for your business. Welcome, Hank. The floor is yours.
Yes, well, thank you, Michelle. Thank you, everybody. Today is all about building a team of customer service superheroes. At the end of the day, I'm assuming most of you are either owners, operators, management roles who are in charge of hiring. You might have a team currently, or you might be looking up to develop a team, bring a team on. So hopefully wherever you're at in that journey, this presentation will be for you. This picture right here was done for my team at one point. We had some interns in there just to kind of essentially depict what I'm talking about, right? That we're not just a team, but we're a team of customer service superheroes. So that's what we're going to talk about. That's what that picture is. We're going to keep it real simple. Slides, I didn't want to overwhelm everyone with what's on the slide, so I'm going to give you plenty of nuggets each slide as we go through it. As she said, if you have any questions, please jump in, ask, and we'll have plenty of Q&A at the end. So let's kind of get started. I'm guessing for many of you, any small business, large business right now, it's kind of a grim feeling, right? It's very tough in the current state to find talent, let alone quality talent. And certain industries have been even more difficult than others. But the thing is, it's probably not going to change too much. I mean, hopefully it'll get better. But at the end of the day, most people are struggling to find individuals for the sake of people just simply don't want to work in certain fields anymore. They don't want to go back to bad bosses. They don't want to go back to toxic cultures. They don't want to go back to a small, pay for something they don't like to do, for a place they don't feel appreciated. And that tends to be the common theme. So as we're talking here, if you find yourself, man, why am I struggling so much? I'm not saying your business is toxic, your culture is bad, but you're probably going to have to look at yourself first, because that's where it starts and that's where it ends. And that's kind of what we're going to kick things off with. So if that sounds like you just can't find people and you've been trying and trying, we got to look internally first. So that starts with you, the leader. Many of you on here probably in this role. Just kind of give everyone a quick little story here. Maybe some of you have been to this place before. One of my favorite small restaurants is called Babcock's, and it's located in Lombard right there in Main Street. Great spot, great food, and the service is great. And this guy's team, I'd say, is probably between 17 and 22, 23, a super young team. And one day I just asked him, hey, as a fellow business owner, respect what you guys are doing. How is it that you find all these great young people? How do you keep them? And how come they're delivering such great service? And he didn't say anything mind-blowing. He just said two simple things, which is, I make it a welcoming environment. It's all about our culture. And when I do that, people enjoy their time with me and working for us. And then they just tell others. And that's how I build my team. So very simple, right? But it kind of stuck with me that it's not a hard thing, but how come so many of us struggle? Well, it's because this guy, this individual, this business owner, he got it, right? He understood that he had to create the right culture before even bringing anyone on. So I would tell you and challenge you, right now, where is your business culture at? Is it a welcoming environment? Are you showing appreciation to your team? Are you doing everything you can as a leader to make it an environment where somebody wants to come work for your business? Because you have to be on the offense now. You have to be attack mode. You have to show somebody, hey, this is why you want to come work for me, work for us, because so many people have way other options right now. And it's not a, you know, throw the pole out there and wheel them in. You have to show this is what makes us special. And this is why you want to be a part of it. This is why we want you to be a part of our business. So I would say, first and foremost, you as the leader, make sure you've created the right culture. It's a people-centric culture. That means both from a customer standpoint, but also internally, because you can't expect your team to take care of customers if you don't take care of them. And that's where most business owners, I think, sometimes falter, is they kind of forget about their own team, right? Well, you should be doing this, take care of customers in this way, and make sure you say this, and how come you don't treat them this way? And then when you look internally, it's like, well, wait a second, but you don't treat your employees that way. So in turn, they're never going to treat your customers how you want them. So look at yourself first. And then, you know, the WWTT is walk the walk and talk the talk. So whatever you're going to ask people to do from a team standpoint, you need to be displaying those behaviors. So it stems across your whole business. If you're going to ask them to greet people when they walk into your business, well, you better be doing it. If you're going to ask them to act a certain way around customers, are you acting that way? So walk the walk, talk the talk, else nobody's ever going to follow you from a service standpoint, and just really in a leadership standpoint in general. So that's step one. Make sure everything's set on your end as the leader. Now the three keys. Once you got leadership set, you have the culture set, because it all starts with your culture, right? Then it's going to come to what probably many of you want to listen to on this talk, which is the hiring process. So the first thing you have to do is create what I call like your ITM. So this would be your ideal team member. You could call it whatever you want. So many businesses will create an avatar for what their customer should look like. Well, you're going to essentially do that for what your ideal team member will look like for certain roles. So just to give you an example, let's say you have somebody that's a secretary. Well, what would that position look like? What's the ideal team member in that role? What are their characteristics, their personality traits? Think less about skills, but more about traits. And then you have, let's say, a lead manager. Well, what does that ideal team member look like? Traits, characteristics, and just go down the line of your positions, and you need to create this profile for each position. So if you have existing team members right now, find the best one you have, the one that, man, you would just love to clone, and sit down and say, okay, you know, what does Michelle have that I love about her in that position, and start writing that down. If you have 0 employees right now and you're about to build a team, then you're just going to have to, you know, conceptually think about what that person might look like. So that's the first step, because how do you know what you're looking for if you don't have that profile built? So I would highly recommend you do that first when you get back to the office. Second thing is, you have to go on the offense. Now that you've figured out what you're looking for, you have to go on the offense and start looking for people. Start internally. If you have an existing team, do they know anybody? Do their friends of friends know anybody? Use that network, because odds are you have an amazing team and you would like people very similar to them. Most likely within their network, they have very similar individuals to themselves. Therefore, those are the type of people you would like to add. So look internal first, and then go on the offense. It's your basic posting on all social media platforms. And when you go to post, keep in mind, you're trying to entice people to come to your business. It's almost like in a college reference, when college coaches are trying to recruit high schoolers to come play basketball for them, football for them. You have to do everything to show what makes your business special, just like they have to show what makes their school and program special. So when you're posting, don't just post boring posts, trainers needed, cooks needed, manager needed, boring post. You got to do something that's a little more enticing. So you could talk about what that ideal person looks like. You could talk about all the benefits that are going to come with your business, but don't make it a very generic post, which a lot of businesses do. And then if people are really looking, they're scrolling on their social media, it's not going to stand out and your business isn't going to stand out. So that's something that I think you can do right off the bat, is just make a more enticing offer for people. Also, when we're talking about going on the offense, don't be afraid to go to your local favorite places where you get great service. Starbucks, restaurants, other places that you do business at, and you see those certain people, right? You see Bob, you see Michelle, and you're like, you know what? I love their personality. I love what they bring to the table from a people standpoint. You remember, you can always coach people up on skills, the technical side of things, but you can't coach people up on traits. So find those individuals in your life when you're a customer, talk to them. Maybe they want a career change. Maybe you find somebody in a competitor that you've talked to and you can steal them away. I would say by no means be afraid to do that, but you have to go on the offense. If you're just waiting around, it's going to be very difficult, especially now when the pool is a lot smaller. So be on the attack, whether you don't need anyone right now or you need 10 people. You're always trying to build that bench because you never know when somebody's going to leave. You never know when you're going to need to expand, or simply somebody's just not, meeting the expectations that you have and you need to replace them. So always build a bench and always be on offense. And then once you do get them in the door, a couple things. Number one, ask different questions. Don't just go through the generic questions where people are going to have predetermined, responses, and you're not going to get much from them. So one thing to do is ask what's called behavioral questions. So previous behavior will tend to tell you the story about what they'll do in the future from a behavioral standpoint. So to give you an example, a question a lot of business owners might ask would say, Michelle, you know what would you do if a customer was angry? How would you handle that? So we're asking Michelle about something that might take place and what she might do. A better question would be, Michelle, tell me about a time that you dealt with an angry customer. What did you do? How did you feel? So then she can recall and you can actually see, okay, she handled it really well. That's going to predict likely what she's going to do moving forward within my business. So that's a way to get a better feel. It's called behavioral questions, and you can do that with lots of different things. Now, you might say, well, what if somebody has no work experience, or what if they don't have experience in my field and they can't recall something? Ask them about a volunteer experience, something from the classroom. Maybe they had some minor part-time job. There's some life experience that you could probably draw upon, but you'd rather ask about something that they've done versus what they might do down the road. Another thing you can do to steal from Zappos, they're one of the best customer service businesses around. They have a great track record with hiring people that are service minded. And what they do is they want to get those potential new hires involved in their team. They kind of want to vet them through their own team. So this could be when someone comes in for an interview, let them interact with your team for 5, 10, 15 minutes. Maybe you have them come do a day in the life of at your business. So they spend a few hours just kind of in all aspects of your business, solely just so they can see your culture and see if they're a fit. And then 2, your team can go, you know what, this guy's just not going to work out. This woman's just not going to work. She didn't talk to us, unfriendly. You can essentially get a feel for their culture fit and how they're going to connect with your team before even hiring them. So highly suggest if you can build that into your interview process that you do it. And then that way you don't make a mistake right off the bat. You can kind of just get that vibe, before you move forward. So that's what we're talking about when we're hiring. Again, build that ITM, go on offense. And then when you get them in, make sure you ask the right type of questions, like we mentioned, the behavioral type questions. Does anyone have any questions on hiring before we move on?
Yes. We have a lot of comments.
Shoot 'em.
Someone said somebody said I've been using Indeed. And can you hear me?
Yes, we
Oh,
got.
okay. And it's been difficult to find quality talent. We get people for one day and then they're gone. I'm not too sure what's going on. I don't think you can collect unemployment after working for one day.
Yeah, that seems to be a problem for a lot of people. People showing up for the interview and then never showing up again, not showing up for the interview. I don't know if it's people just casting a wide net and then they go to a bunch of interviews, they snag one, and then they just don't have decency to call you back or message you. Honestly, those are probably the people you just don't want in general, right? So I would just continue to cast a wide net across all social platforms, not just hiring sites.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, go seek out people at other businesses, which depending on what business you're in, yes, can be harder. But a lot of times you can just pull people from a totally different business than you're in, and then you can coach them up for most, probably 80% of businesses on the technical side of your job.
Um, well, that kind of leads into some other questions. They're asking what's the best platforms to find good quality candidates nowadays.
Indeed, all those are good, but I think even just doing a LinkedIn search, again, going on the offense, looking for what do you need, try to find people in your area, and don't be afraid to just not cold call, but cold message somebody and say, hey, just looking at your profile, you have an impressive resume, or I love what you've done. I think you'd be a great addition to what we do. Here's why. So, giving them some sort of praise and props and, compliment them and trying to essentially attract them. So I think sometimes business owners are afraid to go after people. So I would say use Indeed to your benefit. Probably have more people in your network than you know. And then Facebook, Instagram, all those platforms, put posts up, ask people to share them in your network. I think that's the best way to go.
Okay, great.
Was there anything else or?
Nope, that was it.
Okay. All right, let's move on. So this probably out of everything we're going to talk about is where most small businesses get things wrong, and that's the onboarding. And it's because it usually looks something like this in the sped up version, which is great, Michelle, here you go. Here's our binder. Here's our employee handbook. Here's a notebook of everything. I want you to go spend some time with Bob. He'll show you the ropes. Great, good luck. And that's kind of what it is, right? It's very unorganized. There's no systematic approach. You're relying on the other employee to tell them what they want to tell them, maybe what they don't, and you just don't get a consistent onboard. So the best thing to do is you, the owner, if you can, the manager, the leader, be part of the onboarding. If you're a small enough operation where you can spend 70-80% of the onboard with this individual, even better. It shows a commitment from you. It shows to that new employee that, okay, this is an important time. This is serious. If the boss is here leading this, if you can't because your operation's too big, however your schedule is, you should at the very least spend that first day or second day with this individual for as much time as you possibly can for those reasons I mentioned. And this is where we want to lead our onboard with pure service, pure culture, pure values right off the bat. So a lot of times those first couple hours, days are all about, okay, let's get you behind the computer. This is how you enter stuff into our system. Okay, you're waiting a table. Someone wants this. This is how you're going to write it down. This is how you cut the hair. We go right to the technical side of the job, and then we just kind of glance over everything else. Think of the beginning of somebody's time with you. They're like a sponge. This is when they can soak up the most about your business. So this is when you want to talk about the most important thing, which is culture, right? Hopefully in the beginning, you were only hiring people that fit your culture. We talked about that early on, not just dire need, not just because they have the right skills, but because they were a culture fit. So this is when you want to talk about the history of your business. What are the core values? What are the service standards of your business? So for us, we have what we call 13 service points, and we go through each of those with our new hire. This is what this looks like. Here's an example of it. Here's how to apply it to your position. And if that's something you want, I can send you ours at the end of the presentation. I'll remind you. But one example would be to treat others how they want to be treated, not how you want to be treated. Another one would be the 10-5 rule, which is if you have a brick and mortar business, if someone's within 10 feet of you or a team member, you should at the bare minimum give them a visual wave or acknowledgement. If someone's within 5 feet of you, then it should be a verbal greeting or acknowledgement. So those are just two of the 13 that we have, but you should have some sort of standards that you hire upon and that you keep people accountable. So you're telling them those right off the bat. So it's culture, culture, culture. It's service, and share stories. Here's some stories about what's happened within our business from a service standpoint. That's going to really let them get the true feeling of, okay, this is how they operate. This is clearly important here. I need to take it seriously because clearly the business and the owner takes it seriously, hence why they're here talking to me about this. So most businesses here, they do the opposite. It's 80% technical and that little bit of 20% service culture. We need to flip that and make sure it's culture first, service, and then get into the technical side of things. Anyone have questions on that? We could spend hours just talking about breaking that down, but fortunately, we don't have that much time.
I do not have any questions, just comments
What, any
about
comment?
their onboarding processes. A lot of people say we try to team people up with folks that currently work with us, so that they can take them, for 2 or 3 days, and
Excellent.
kind of learn our culture right away.
Excellent.
And we try to have a little event or something to welcome them. These are just ideas, I guess, people are putting out. Those are good ideas. I think
Yes.
definitely, just teaching, giving somebody a document. I was once handed an onboarding document at a job I had back in like 2005. And I was like, oh, okay. And they're like, read this, for the next couple of days. We're going to quiz you on some things. And I was just like, okay, cool. But I was like, where's the culture? Like, what are you guys about? Like, do you guys do anything? Do you guys have events? Do you guys get together after work? Or is this just, I have to sit here and read this document, which was pretty thick.
Yeah,
Um,
you want to make it interactive. That's a good point.
yeah.
On the screen there, it says systemize. You should have an approach that's consistent with each new team member. So, hey, day one, this is what we talk about. And this is what I want to see after day one. Day two, we want to talk about this. This is what I want to see after day two. Like, what are you trying to accomplish in those days? And then what should take place? Is there a quiz? Do they need to pass X, Y, and Z, have something? We like to, after day one, we call it you brought up a quiz, we call it our legacy test. So we'll quiz them on our culture. When did our business open? What are our core values? What's our service vision? We want to know, are they absorbing this? And again, show them how important it is. So you might want to do a legacy test of your own or something along those lines. The individual that said, have a gift for them, have your team sign a card welcoming this new person. I can't think of who to give credit for, but a thing we started using a couple years ago was when we go to interview someone, if it seems like the interview is going in the right place, likely going to get hired, we'll say to them, you know what, Michelle, what is something that's $25 or less that is kind of important to you or special or a favorite of yours? They might say Starbucks coffee. They might say a certain food or a book, whatever it might be. It's something small, right? And then they might be a little puzzled, not sure why you're asking them this. Kind of change the subject, move on, make note of it. And then if this person ends up getting hired, you have that item along with the card from your team signed for them. So that right off the get go, it's going to surprise and delight them, take them off guard a little bit that you'll ask the question, you remembered it,
Mm-hmm.
and then you gave them a gift. So it's a small thing, $25. Again, it's been things like coffee mugs, it's been things like someone's favorite cookies they love from a particular place, and that's waiting for them. So that kind of sets a great uh, standard for, wow, where have I ever worked that they have a card signed by everyone and then they surprise me with one of my favorite things. So it's those little things that can separate your business, and then those individuals start to talk to other people. Hey, you got to
Mm-hmm.
go check out this business. So those that commented, you're spot on.
One thing I was going to say for our business, especially during this time to kind of keep people, because we've had that experience where we've hired people and within a week they're gone, and it's like, okay. Because we go through a very long hiring process, which is something I don't know if you're going to touch upon or not, because that can affect things as well. But as far as the onboarding goes, as a business owner, you have to also think, yes, I'm giving you a job. I have a job opening. I asked you for this position. I feel that you're qualified. We'd love to have you on. But it's also the reverse too. They've accepted your position that you're offering. They've had other job offers. I mean, we've had folks that we've brought on that had 10 job offers and they chose our company. Well, why did they choose our company? So it kind of goes both ways. And so business owners sometimes don't think of it that way. They think of it as, oh, I gave you a job. You're at my mercy. You're, someone who I hired. And they don't think of it both ways. Do you find that that's true with business owners as well?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you have to almost flip that pyramid upside down, right? Like you essentially work for your employees. You're trying to help give them the best environment and guide them and nurture them. Because if you're just, hey, I'm the boss to tell you what to do and this is how it is, that's exactly why people aren't going back to certain jobs, because they
Right.
don't want that and they don't have that good working culture.
Right. Oh,
All right.
that's the rest of the comments.
Was there another comment or no?
Oh, no, we're good.
Okay. So yeah, that's kind of the key with the onboarding. Again, we could spend so much time on this going super detailed. We just don't have that time. But the basic thing to just take away here is to make sure a majority of the initial time is spent on culture, on core values, the history of your business. What are the expectations and the standards that you've set from a service standpoint, and share stories about, and then make sure it's systemized, that no matter who's coming in, you have a systemized approach to day one, day two, day three, and what's expected at each point throughout this. We tell our new hires, again, to be different in each business. I don't even care if you mess up the technical side of things the first couple of days. In fact, I'm ignoring that part. But do our clients feel like you care? Do I see you doing the personable things, the service end of things, upholding our culture and our standards? That's all I care about. The technical side of things we're going to continue to develop and you'll get better at. But if right off the bat I'm not seeing the care factor, the standards being upheld, it's just not going to work out. So again, where's your priority as an owner going at the beginning? Is it just, oh, great, they got our system down perfect? Yeah, but they don't look people in the eye and they don't treat anyone well. You didn't connect there. Maybe this isn't going to work out. So just make sure you're always holding people to those standards. All right. So hopefully now you've selected the right person. Now you've onboarded the right person. Again, another fault in most business owners is they might do a great onboard and they might talk about service and our culture and all these things. And then that's the last time they talk about it. They never talk about it again. And what happens if someone doesn't hold your feet to a fire and they're not talking about things for a long period of time? You start to not do them, right? Who's holding me accountable to these standards? And therefore service falls off, right? People get disinterested in your business. They lose the passion, the fire. So that's why you, as the owner, manager, you need to have accountability, right? We need praise. So throughout the life of that individual working for you, are we praising? We tend to, just as people in general, find faults in people, tend to point out the bad, and we often don't point out the good enough. So are you praising when you see people living up to the standard that you have set? So for instance, in a team meeting, now this could be in person, this could be via Zoom, maybe it's weekly team notes, email. When you see, what, Michelle crushed it out of the park with the customer service this past week, I want to make sure the entire team is aware of it. I want to tell them exactly what happened and why she's getting praised, because the more your team starts to see, okay, look what Michelle did, look what Bob did, they want to raise their level and they're seeing, okay, well, I'm going to get that praise for this. This is important because, again, we're talking about it in meetings. We're talking about it every time we're interacting as a team. It's important. One thing we started implementing, which some could say it's cheesy, I thought it was kind of cool. You're seeing these across sports teams everywhere, which is, we created, here's a picture, we call it our customer service superhero. And it's basically like a WWE belt, got it custom made. I believe the company was undisputedbelts.com. You tell them what the design and how you want to make it. And essentially every month, our employee of the month is our customer service superhero of the month. They're going to get this belt for anything specifically that has to do with our service standards. And, they get to keep it for a month. They can take pictures, put it on their social media. It's something fun. It's a little goofy, but you know what? They love it because it's different. And every month someone's going to then take it over. And then by the end of the year, our staff, whoever has won it the most, is going to get a special gift, which we haven't determined yet. But so different ideas like that. You don't have to use a belt. You could do whatever you want, but have some way to highlight and praise people when they're delivering on your standards. Now, the opposite of that would be, what's the discipline when someone doesn't live up to your standards? Do you just brush it under the rug? Do you bring this up to them? Because if you're going to praise people, then you also have to hold their feet to the fire when they do not live up to those standards that you've created. So look within your business. Can you praise people more? Probably yes, we all can. And then, are you keeping people's feet to the fire? Don't just hold someone around in your business because you can't find someone and you're just afraid that if you let them go, you won't be able to fill the void. It's actually going to be more detrimental to your business to keep someone around that's a negative energy, that's affecting the culture, that's going to have a negative effect on the rest of the team and therefore start to drag down everybody else. So cut ties when you need to. And that goes back to the importance of having that bench of people that you need to call upon just in case. Any questions with praise, discipline? Maybe interested what some of you are doing from that aspect.
I don't have any comments on that.
Okay,
My
perfect.
guess is that nobody's doing anything.
And you have to know your team well. Some people need more touch and feel and pat on the back. Others don't need that as much. So really have a good understanding of who needs what, but you still need to make sure you give credit and praise to people when they're showing those behaviors that you want, right? It's that cycle of coaching them, rewarding them, and continuously getting that behavior. So again, we want to select the right person. We want to onboard them properly, focus on service, and then we always want to keep it top of mind in meetings, in interactions, and give praise when those behaviors are shown. Doing that, you will get your own superhero squad. I know, yes, it's not always that easy, and yes, it's tough, but if you look at some of the best businesses right now, small or large, most of them that have a great service first culture aren't struggling to find people because they get people, they want to be in that business, they want to be part of the culture, they tell others how great the culture is, and it's just a never ending cycle. It feeds itself. So, yes, everyone is struggling to find, but the businesses that are just nailing that internal culture are having a way easier time. So if it's you that's struggling, take a look at the business, at your culture. What can you change? What can you do to make your business more enticing for somebody, right? Because now you have to be attracting them, with the pool being a lot smaller than it is. So I'm going to leave my contact. I mentioned those 13 service points. We teach all of our new hires on them. If you would like those, just shoot me an email and just put service points in the subject line, and I will make sure to send you those. Please, if you're on social media, go to my page, follow me. Love to chat with you about what you're doing in your business. If you had any more questions that we couldn't get to today, or we just simply didn't have time to, please reach out with any questions you have. Shell, anything else? I tried to get done a little early so we can.
Yeah, definitely. So I have some comments on onboarding. How long do you feel the onboarding process should be? Ours is 2 weeks. I feel that that's a little too long, but it's a sales position, so they have to learn a lot. Um, so how do you how long do you feel that process should be?
I think it really depends on the business and the position. So how many technical aspects are there? Because we talked about at some point you got to get to the technical side of things. So it could be 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month. It could be a week, depending on what the job entails. But from the uh, service standards, culture, story of the business, I think that should be a day in itself of simply only that, and maybe even 2 days, depending on the time you have. And then, depending on the business, yeah, anywhere from probably 2 weeks to a month, depending on what you have to get through. It's hard to give a true timeline on that.
Someone else asked, do you offer coaching for what you talked about today?
Yes, actually working with, I don't know if anyone's been to an Epic Burger. They have 6 or 7 locations. Working with them right now on a lot of this. So yes, whoever that was, please shoot me an email. Put coaching in the subject line, and I will get back to you as soon as possible.
Okay. And then other people are asking, what is your background? I don't think we talked about that at all.
Yeah, sorry. To me, when I listen to a presentation, give me the value, give me what I can use. Right? Most people just want that. So my background, I own 2 small group personal training facilities in Wheaton and Geneva. To me, we've built our business. Bob, who's actually on this Zoom, has been a member of us. His wife is a member. I've taken pride in trying to build a team that can deliver the same service, the same feel, the same culture that myself created. So I've really taken pride over the last 10 years building that business with that in mind. And that's kind of what got me a lot into this topic, if you will. And having clients who own businesses ask, how do you always find these right people? And how come they're always just like you, clones? But even when you change people out and swap them out, it's like the culture is always the same. Doesn't matter who comes in. And it's because you have a process. So it's what we talked about. It's a little more detailed, but the basis of it is what we talked about today.
Okay. Another comment or question is, how long does it take you to build up your culture? When we're talking about culture, what specifically are you speaking about?
Yeah, How long does it take? It's hard to say how long it can take. It could be years, months, days, but I can't stress how much it starts with you. So just think of culture. It's what does your customers, what does your team, how do they feel when they're in your business or working with your business? Is it what's that feeling? That's essentially the culture, right? And for us, we call it our 3 C's. It's care, commitment, and community. That's what we're all about. And everything we do, hiring, onboarding, firing, is all about those 3 C's. Are you caring? Are you building a community? And are you committed to our clients? And for you, that might be something else, but everything is about our 3 C's. So you have to have something that you stand for. And again, for you as the owner, it has to be right here, right? If it's not in you, you're not going to get it inside your team members. So it has to have meaning to you as the business owner. And every day it has to be about the culture every day.
Awesome. And just a lot of great comments, just saying great talk. I know Bob on here wrote the same thing. Um, so yeah, I think we're good. I don't have any other questions.
Awesome.
Um,
Yeah. Again, if anyone wants, email me below, subject line, service points. I'll be happy to share those 13 service points. You could use them in your business. You could use some of them, or maybe it'll get you on the right track to developing your own. If you did ask about coaching, just put that in the subject line, and I'll be happy to talk with you further. But yeah, please connect on social. Ask as many questions as you want. Be happy to help you. Small business owners need to stick together, so happy to give you whatever you need.
well, thank you, Hank. Since we had so many people on Facebook Live, if you do want to get in touch, Hank has his info up. But do DM us your email address and I can send you more information as well. As a reminder to everyone, our next in person event will be on April 12th. We're having a happy hour at 5:30 p.m. at Noon Whistle Brewery. Tickets are $20 for non members and free, of course, for members. With your ticket, you get 2 drink tickets, pizza, and 2 hours of networking with local business owners. To learn more about our groups, membership, upcoming events, and past events, just visit our website at nwbiz.net. I want to thank Hank again for joining us today for this amazing talk and thanking all of you today for joining us. Thank you, Hank.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Everyone have a great day. Enjoy your weekend.